Okay, this is the Foundation Portfolio Group 107C.
Stick like that one. Yeah, this is our pitch. Our title is Seaside Store. Just leave the animations. Okay, yeah, our title is Seaside Slaughter because the main locations we chose for our film is based on the seafront. It's where usually the murders occur, and yeah. The synopsis is basically Benny's a methodical evil young man who's on the loose, and there is a detective extraordinaire with lung cancer called Duncan, who's encouraged by his boss to retire due to his illness. Also, although Duncan refuses and tries to carry on with the investigation, we chose a weaker character as a hero, so the audience feels much more sort of bonded to it, so they like them more. Because if it's an interesting character and a weak character that's weaker than the villain, then you like them much more, usually, in the movie. Yeah.
Our unique selling point is that the movie will have a cliffhanger, and so the audience are like gripped, and there'll be a sequel, so that they like know what happens eventually, so that their questions get answered.
Our tagline is, when you see a little evil, think of what's behind it. We've chose this because our antagonist is a serial killer. However, he's a part of a big group of serial killers, so he's kind of influenced by them, so that's kind of what's behind his serial killing. Yeah.
So we have a 3-act structure, which begins with the equilibrium. At the beginning, like all good movies, it starts with a death. Intrigue, suspense. Our protagonist, Duncan, is at an office table with his chief of police, who is basically telling him he needs to retire early due to his lung cancer. Duncan, like all well-grizzled detectives, is reluctant to leave due to not having a very good life outside of the force. After that, we have our disruption. Duncan, whilst taking a walk on the beach, discovers the body of the man murdered at the beginning. As a responsible citizen, he calls the police and notifies them about the body. He asks his old friend and boss, the police chief, if he can work the case. Naturally, he refuses. Duncan, next, is then in a small coffee shop where he sees the same... Oh, I missed this. Sorry. So Duncan, upon discovering the body, sees another person hastily leaving the crime scene wearing a very recognizable outfit. Now we go to the coffee shop. Duncan is at the coffee shop where he sees the same man at a table at the other side of the room. The man also sees and recognizes him. A chase ensues. Duncan's lung cancer means that he isn't able to maintain the pursuit and starts coughing up blood. He eventually pulls his composure together. Duncan, instead of then continuing to pursue directly, attempts and succeeds to cut off the man. After cornering him, Duncan then proceeds to question him on what he knows about the murder, but quickly discovers the man wasn't the murderer and instead was a petty thief. The new equilibrium, Duncan follows clues that lead him to the real killer, Ben. It turns out that Ben has been leaving a trail of clues so that someone would find him. Ben reveals to Duncan that he's part of a community of killers, this is our twist, who have a ritual of laying clues that lead to their arrest once they achieve a certain level in the community.
The mise-en-scène, the props we will mainly use are, knives, fake blood, wire, stick, teacups, chairs, obviously teacups and the chairs in the cafe, just carrying around randomly, but yeah. Costume, trench coat and suit for the detective, jeans and top with lots splattered on it for the killer, and location is private seafront under New Pier. Well, that will be the main sort of location. Yeah.
Our first influence is Seven, because the killer in it wants to get caught, so it's kind of like a psycho, a bit crazy, the same as our killer. And Ryan Gosling in Drive inspired us this is relaxed, like how murderer is, and like know what they're doing.
Because our target audience is between 15 and 18, we're going to market our thriller on social media and have like kind of like a hashtag with the Seaside Slaughter with the title, so it can get like kind of trending. We're also going to have it on the side of bus stops, like posters, outside cinemas, before movies, like adverts. And we want to like advertise it in big cities, so like New York, London. So we'll put it in like billboards so more people can see it. Do you have any questions?
Who's feeling bold for a question? So I, from James's description, there seemed to be sort of humour in there. Is that just your presentation, or is there going to be a sort of humour in the character as well?
It's not funny, it's really serious.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Just the presentation style.
It's just changing the interpretation.
And I know you said that your film is going to be sort of cliffhanger, but are we going to see what happens to the protagonist? Is he, because he's the one with lung cancer, yeah? Am I right?
The hero.
He's the hero?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
going to make more, like there's going to be films that go on from this, so there will be a conclusion, but in the next film, like this next series.
So is the lung cancer, is that important to the character?
Well, he wants to catch this murderer, but obviously his manager's like, no, you can't because your health, so it's kind of is important because he wants to carry on, but he can't, which is why it never really gets solved.
And the serial killers, have we any sympathy for them?
No, probably no.
Carry on. So we're sort of following it mainly through the older, is it an older character?
We were going to do it old, but we can't find anyone old to act.
So it's going to be a young person.
Yeah.
With lung cancer.
Yeah. But
He smokes a lot.
Oh, okay.
So, but is that kind of central to driving your narrative and how we feel about that character?
yeah, because you feel pity for them.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Group C.